Welcome to Mastering Innovation Together with Kevin Mobley and Chris Koomey of Thorben Consulting. And Kevin, you've been involved with a lot of businesses, and everything that you've been involved with, you brought your passion and really gets down to mastering innovation together with folks. So what has driven you to this point, and what's going to drive you going forward?
Sure. I will say that for me, my life didn't improve until I started becoming an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur before I became an entrepreneur. So when I worked inside of corporations, I ran my own businesses within those businesses. I ran my own P&Ls within those businesses. Even if there wasn't a formal P&L process, we still operated as if we were our own business. And that was a good training ground for me. But at that point in my life, I was still thinking safety. I really wanted the safety, what I thought was the safety of a big company wrapped around me. But the issue of income was always going to be a problem. You can, wherever my income was, my expenses were always right there meeting that income level. And I really didn't make a go of life until I started becoming my own entrepreneur. It gave me freedom. Obviously, my income stream improved. And it just gave me a sense of satisfaction I was never going to have working inside of a company. I remember when I left my last corporate job, I was interviewing for some additional corporate jobs in big name companies. And I just remember shaking my head and having no sense of the drive to go after those jobs, because I knew it was going to be just more of the same. I'd worked in a number of big companies with big, national names, and had big jobs flying all over the country. And I said, hey, it's not gonna change. And I'm in my 40s, and it's time for me to go do something else. And so that's when back in '07, I guess I was just about to turn 40. But back in '07, I said, hey, I got to go start my own business. And it's been the best things that ever happened to me. So now when I talk to kids, I always encourage them to start a company when they're in middle school or high school, or as early as possible. And it doesn't really matter what the business is. It's not about how much money they're going to make in the business. And I mean a formal business, not just a lemonade stand where they're selling something. I mean, if they're going to have a lemonade stand, get an EIN number. And the reason for that is that as that EIN number ages, it gains credibility. It's much easier for them to raise capital in that EIN that's got 15 or 20 years on it. And the more formal that they make their business, and again, I'm not talking big business plans, like that. I'm just talking about legal structures, bank accounts, that kind of stuff. And they're selling something. They're selling, whether they're repurposing skateboards, whether they're, doing something in music or whatever, or makeup. As they do that as a side hustle, they may go off to college, they may go off to trade school, they may go to the military, they may go into corporate America, and all those kinds of things that most of us have been trained to do. They'll have a place to park those skills. So just like I was being an entrepreneur, they'll have a chance to, instead of being an entrepreneur for someone's company, they'll be an entrepreneur for their own business while they work for someone else, and gain that sort of confidence, and and learn leadership, learn sales skills, learn organizational skills, technical skills, what have you.
I-
At some point, they're going to get frustrated. They're going to walk into work, and they're going to be done. And it happens to everyone. I have more meetings with more folks in their middle of their career who don't know where to go next. And they're frustrated. They're tired. Nothing's going to change. And they know that. So having the ability at that point to do the exit ramp and be like, hey, I'm out of here. I'm going to go off and do this thing that I've been doing for 15 or 20 years now. So I got confidence I can do it. Versus I'm in my mid 40s, I got kids, and I got a house, and I got college coming up, and I've never been an entrepreneur. And now I got to go take that leap. And that's a much scarier proposition. And so I always encourage kids to start something young, and so they get that practice. It becomes just part of their DNA.
what I see, a lot of people that are professionals, doctors, lawyers, engineers, less engineers, but doctors, lawyers, they've done the same thing.
Mhm.
They feel trapped by their profession. And so they want to retire or something because they just want to get away from doing the same thing every day. And I think that's where the entrepreneurship comes up. And that's probably engineering as well, is that you have new challenges to confront and kind of keep you motivated. And, I've been working with businesses since I was 19, and people learn the personal finance role of spend less than you make. But the entrepreneur is make more than you make. You need to be finding new ways of generating income, and current income and future income as well.
Absolutely. I think retirement is overrated. I think everybody now, when you talk about purpose driven life and all this kind of stuff, what does that really mean? It just means, for me, what it means is that everything I do in life is a business. I find a way to turn my travel into a business. I find a way to turn my passions into a business. That may sound depressing to some, because it sounds like, oh, all you care about is money. It's like, no, I just the things I love to do should take care of themselves.
Yeah, it's the freedom and flexibility piece that most people are missing.
Yep,
And that's really what you're trying to open people up to, is that that's where the opportunity comes.
absolutely. So I'm 80 years old. I'm still going to be generating income. I'm not going to just be relying on whatever money I've been able to squirrel away. I'm looking at how I generate income for my entire life, and that gives me way more confidence and freedom than if I had a whole bunch of money sitting in the bank and I'm sitting there trying to worry about it draining, and I'm trying to use the minimum amount of money every single month so I can hold on to it as long as possible, because I don't know how long I'm going to live and what's going to happen to me as I get older. But if I know I can generate income, and I have a whole different sense of freedom than most people.
And most people don't have a wealth problem, they have an income problem, right?
Hmm.
They need they need more income
Hmm.
to meet all their needs, but we're being trained in to be investors,
Hmm.
and what we're doing is not even investing. We're just giving our money to someone else, and they're giving us, single digit returns maybe.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, the financialization of the economy has definitely worked against most people. But
Yep.
you're right, it makes people scared. It's all about, you know, they want you to fear, so you turn it over to an expert
Yep.
as opposed to just keep making more.
Just keep making more. And there's always ways to make money. I've learned this. My uncle, I've had uncles that some of my best examples of this. They made more money in retirement than they made working. One of my uncles that runs a fish business, and he's a millionaire just from running his little fish business. He only open like a couple days a week, usually about 3 weeks out of a month. And he makes way more money doing that than he ever made working in his job he had for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Um, so
And you think about it, like most careers last about 15 years.
mhm,
And so, most people come with the idea, I'm going to have one career, but the reality is you're probably going to have five,
mhm.
right? 4 or 5, and just look for the next one.
Yeah.
That
So,
to me is the action. That's where the activity is.
yep. And that's what, to me, the discipline you got to get with the kids, because instead of training them to think about getting a skill that they're going to have as their title for the rest of their life, get them to start something, think in terms of building. And again, it doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be, revolutionary. They don't need to be building the next AI thing that's going to, allow us to go off in some weird metaverse. Instead, they just need to just think in terms of, hey, there's this thing I like to do every day, and how can I monetize it? I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna play that video game anyway. So how can I monetize that thing? I think we see some glimmers of hope in the shared economy, how people are, having, seeing their time and freedom and stuff connected. But now I'm like, just keep going with it. Let's get kids to think in terms of, hey, this stuff I like to do. How do I monetize the thing I like to do? And then even if I take a traditional job or traditional role in society, which is nothing wrong with that, how do I extract the skills from that and put it into the thing that I really have a passion for, and get a discipline around that? Because there's always going to be other things I like to do in the future. I'm going to discover new things. I'm going to discover that all of a sudden, hey, I like wine. I'm going to discover that skydiving is my jam. I'm going to discover that I like to collect shells. And over time, just keep thinking about, how do I monetize those things, at least in a way that they take care of themselves. So
Yeah.
you're not draining your assets to invest in your hobby.
And these days, with TikTok and YouTube, there's ways to capture that. And people are doing it and providing value with game playing, with other activities, just by sharing what they're doing every day.
Yep.
So, well, Mr. Mobley, thank you so much for joining us and mastering innovation together. And we're going to keep helping others master innovation together as well.
I
Thank
love it.
you.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. Thank you for mastering innovation together today with Thorben Consulting. This is Chris Koomey. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoy the show, if you have any comments, questions, or just want to learn more about what we do. Thanks for joining us.